Welcome to the Cincy Postcast. I'm your host, Kevin Wallace, and before we get into today's episode, I want to tell you about our sponsor, Streetside Brewery. Look, these guys are located in historic Columbia Tusculum neighborhood on the east side of Cincinnati, and Streetside is really the perfect mix of just local neighborhood watering hole and a modern craft beer brewery. They have 24 beers on tap, and I promise you, you will not find a bad one amongst them. These guys were great when they had us out for the live show for the CONCACAF Champions Cup kickoff to start FC Cincinnati's season, and they do events all throughout the year. They do a pint night on Tuesday nights. They do Premier League mornings. Tons of really fun events there. But a special note to Postcast listeners, if you mention the Cincy Postcast at the bar when you're getting your beer, they will take $1 off of your beer, and you let them know that we sent you their way. You can find them at 4003 Eastern Avenue or in the fridge of wherever you're picking up your next beer. Again, a huge thank you to Streetside Brewery for sponsoring the Postcast. And on this episode of the Postcast, well, we've got a very fun episode for you. In part one, we are talking about the win in Atlanta. 2 goals scored. How do we feel about that offense now, huh? Just as everybody started to panic when that first one went against us, everything turned around. And then in part two, boy, it sure sounds like more help is on the way. FC Cincinnati back in the transfer market. A new striker headed this way, South American talent? Find out more about that in part 2. And then in part 3, it's Patreon questions. You put it all together, you got yourselves a heap and helping of the Postcast. Joining me to talk about all of that and more are 2 gentlemen who are as happy as I am to see the losing streak in the rear view mirror. We're joined by the Chief and we're joined by Grayson. Grayson, the away days are always a fun time to watch the game in a unusual location. How did you take in the Atlanta United match?
With my eyes.
Dang, look at this guy.
Bold.
No Tommy G on the radio, huh?
I actually I watched it in my living room.
Okay.
But I pulled up the Tommy G radio broadcast online.
Ooh.
And it took a little bit of doing, but I was able to sync the online radio broadcast with my Apple stream. So I was about I think it was about like a minute to a minute and a half behind most people watching the Apple stream. But when I heard that Ray Gaddis was going to be on the mic, I had to.
Yes.
when you were listening to the broadcast on the radio, could you hear that his shirt was tucked in or not?
Yeah, you could tell because I think it was he was straining. Because he had trouble with some of the names of the players, like Corey Bird and Alec Kahn.
It makes me really happy that at least players who have played with Can and, might have even needed to scream his name during a game before, also mispronounce his name. That really takes the pressure off of me and Chief here.
Yeah, no, I feel better. Now, anyone that wants to criticize my pronunciations, I can just look, a man of God taught me how to say all this stuff.
There's actually a thing I've noticed with players and former players is players and former players will say the MLS. They'll call FC Cincinnati FC, which is the team's name, but nevertheless. And it's just so funny to me when fans get a tight asshole about saying the MLS. And it's Well, it's not called the Major League Soccer. It's called Major League Soccer. So it's wrong to say the MLS. You know, it's like, that's annoying, first of all. Second of all, it's honestly, I think it's probably more correct to say the MLS if you're referring to just the organization, right? And it's just like, it depends like how you're saying it in a sentence, right? Is my view on it. But also my stronger held view is that it doesn't matter. Nobody should care. And I hope that the day comes where I don't have to see a single person correct somebody to try to say, you know, it's not the MLS, it's MLS. I mean, the MLS's official podcast includes in their intro a player calling it the MLS.
Yes.
Yeah, I used to listen to Benny Feilhaber's podcast, and they called it the MLS all the time.
Yeah,
right.
Of course.
You know, it's just it's annoying that people correct anybody on this stuff. I mean, I don't know if those people know this, but the official website of the league is majorleaguesoccer.com.
Famously, because MLS is the multi-listing service that your real estate agent will list your home on, and they never ponied up the cash to buy the website early on. I'm just kind of curious with Ray Gaddis, with a player like him, how many players on the team, on his own team, he didn't know the name of, that they were just young fellow to him, or son, or kid.
Sounds like Can might have been one of them.
Do you think he's ever said the word Dotto?
No chance.
No
chance,
right?
I'd like to imagine he goes the other way, and the really young guys are all Mr. Valenzuela, Mr. Jimenez. He goes really formal with those guys.
Like he's a teacher at a prep school.
Yes.
Yeah. Or a character in a Jane Austen book. No, I think that probably he learns someone's nickname and then never learns what their real name is. So like maybe he has learned Dotto, but if he's learned Dotto, he has no idea what Dotto's real name is. Like if they're calling Alec Can Allie, there's no chance he knows what his real name is. It's just Allie over there. Like, what's his real name? It's like, I don't know. He's Allie. I'm not going to learn this shit. I got too much stuff up here anyway. I got chapter and verse and an entire career full of names. I ain't learning new names.
Yeah.
Once he retired, there was a moratorium on ever learning anyone else's name.
Yeah. He had already retired. He already had his I'm too old for this shit moment and then got dragged back in. There's no way he was adding anything more than he needed to into his brain. I love this idea. This is the Ray Gaddis that I believe in now. So
yeah, he had no idea who was supposed to ride in the van with him down in spring training in Clearwater. He just opened the door, and whoever got in, as long as they looked younger than him, it was like, well, you're probably supposed to be here. Hop in.
Exactly. Oh no, the Atlanta game gave me an opportunity, I'll say, to bust out a new projector. I got new screen in the backyard. Well, hang on. A couple of things wrong with this setup. One, sunset wasn't until 8:30, and let me tell you, you couldn't see anything until 8:30. So I had to rewatch the first half later because I basically could not see a daggone thing. But then the other, I mean, this is a nice thing, but it ends poorly, which is was able to invite the neighbors over. Our kids all play together, but we don't really get to spend a lot of time talking and hanging out. So it's nice having the neighbors over. But that was about the point where I had to come out to them as a podcast host and had to explain because the conversation goes, oh, do you guys like soccer? You watch this a lot? Like, oh yeah, I really like it. Then my wife goes, oh, he's being modest. He's got a podcast. Like, oh no, we don't need to do this.
See, so, you can't be held responsible if your wife brings it up first.
That's true.
If you bring it up first, that's a shameful move on your wife, who might not want anyone to know
Yes.
that her husband is a podcast host. But if she brings it up, that's actually a positive sign. That means she isn't embarrassed of your habit as a middle-aged white guy. So good for you on that one.
I mean, it did feel a little bit like a Hollywood humiliation ritual, but we got through it, so it was good.
So was I the only person that, as a good member of the postcast, went and visited our sponsor, Streetside Brewing, to go watch the game there?
It
Sounds
sure
like you were the
sounds
only
like
one.
it. How was it? How was the away day non-live watch party experience?
It was great. It was great. Streetside Brewery, phenomenal spot to watch a match. They had it on. Had my spot at the bar. Sampled a little bit of the wares right there. Yeah, it was popping. We had the Reds on one TV, NBA playoffs on another TV, FC Cincinnati going on. The only problem that I do have when you watch a game anywhere out and about, it's Apple. They're allegedly the most valuable corporation on the planet. They have more money than they know what to do with. They make incredible technology. Maybe invest, one nerd working in Cupertino in the ability to detect where the ball is on the screen and move the closed captioning up and down to avoid having the overlap with where the ball is.
Oh,
very annoying when the closed captioning is on, especially with as much as we like to play down the left-hand side, which, can be the bottom of the screen for the majority of the first half. Missed a lot of the match because of the closed captioning going on. It is the first world of first worldist problems. But if Tim Apple could just get on that problem, I think that would be good for everybody.
That does feel like a solvable issue. Like it should have a dedicated space for the closed captioning, like built into the score bug or something like that. Like it does feel weird that you're getting the generic large block black text over half the screen when you're trying to watch a live sporting event like soccer, where it's very important.
Even if you can't hear, I still think you don't want your text to be right there where you're going to be missing the actual thing that you're tuning in to do.
I also think like soccer you could do without closed captioning. Like
certainly in a bar.
Yeah. Yeah. But like sure, like don't get me wrong, especially in this day and age in the second screen, world that we live in. But like you could watch these games in silence and get just as much out of it. And then anything you might be like confused about or something is going to be explained to you on Twitter or in a group chat or something like, oh, Hagelin's hurt. Like, I don't know how helpful the broadcast really was on that versus like Twitter updated people on what was going on.
I usually watch the games in silence.
Yeah.
Like I just, if I'm watching it at home, or I've often watched games like out and about. One time on my phone in a Michelin star restaurant because it was the playoffs. I have no problem watching the game with no sound.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not too bad, I wouldn't think. Dang, that's just the most Grayson thing I've ever heard in my life. So we should dive into this game. And I think starting off with the lineup is the way to go here, because there was talking points an hour before the game on this one. So your starting goalkeeper, Alec Can, the aforementioned Alec Can. Your center backs from left to right, Robinson, Miazga, Haglund getting the start. Welcome back to the lineup, young man. Luca Oriano out left as your wing back. DeAndre Yedlin out right as your right wing back. Buka, Wobodo, and Acosta making up that midfield trio. And this is where the drama is. Yuya Kubo and Corey Baird, a.k.a. Corey Bird, starting up top for the orange and blue. Bupenza on the bench. Chief, what were your thoughts when you saw this one?
My thoughts were I was so excited for the podcast because no matter what happened last night, there was going to be incredible opportunities for takes. And I guess thank you, Pat Noonan, to the on behalf of the talking heads and the hot take artists in the FC Cincinnati community, God, what a gift. Like this is talk radio gold right here, that your highest paid player, your designated player striker, is sent to the bench as this team continues to find or look desperately for ways to score goals. And all I could think about was just, one of two things is going to happen here. And either way, it's going to be incredible to watch the discourse for a full week.
Yeah, Grayson, thoughts on Bupenza sitting?
Well, it was interesting because I was listening to the radio broadcast, as I said, and apparently it's a thing where like Pat Noonan jumps on the radio with Tommy G like before the game.
Oh,
and Tommy G gets some time with him. And he was interestingly uninformative about like what was going on with the offense or anything. So like Tommy G like asked him like, how are you going to spark the attack? How are you going to, generate more goals, or are you whatever? And Pat spent probably like a minute or so saying different ways, like they have to be better in front of goal.
Yeah.
It was just like they have to finish better, or they have to be like more decisive, or, guys have to make better decisions. And it was just like it was just interesting because that, like, for one, like, that's not the coach's real answer.
Right.
No.
Right.
on no planet is that the right answer, because that's not the reason you're sitting him.
Like the players just, they just got to score more is how we're going to solve the offense.
I mean, it's a good strategy if it works out, but you wouldn't.
Yeah, I'm pro.
Yeah. What was your reaction here, Kevin? Because to me, this felt like the least likely of all the things they could have done to spark the offense.
Yeah.
And yet here we found ourselves. What was your thought?
Yeah. So to me, like, the first thought, and this is a bad thought, or at least a negative thought, was desperate. That this is a coaching staff that so believes in their system that they're ready to blame the $9 million striker that they had, what sounded like when they signed him, $7 million striker, that when they signed him, it sounded like they had been trying for a couple of windows to bring him in. So this was like their guy. Bupenza, like, he was not a last second replacement for a better target. He was a guy that they had their eye on for a while, and that they were willing to sacrifice him to their, devotion to this system of play. And I was like, oh my God, are they really going to do this? Because I don't think you use this as sending a message to Bupenza. He had his falling out with his national team coach, but up until this point, like, Albright and Noonan have both said that what happens with the national team is totally separate than what happens with FCC, and they grade and judge things differently and separately, and that's fine. And that's good. Thankfully, it's good. But yeah, I just thought, wow, they truly believe in this system of play so much that they will set Bupenza to see if it works. Because here's the thing, right? If it still didn't work, it was the system. But I think it worked. I think the system came through last night.
So what was interesting to me about it is that there were two takeaways. There were really three takeaways that I'd had about the offense over the 8 games of this season. Was they were missing the target man striker from Vasquez, and the movements and the things that he allowed them to do that they weren't able to do.
Yeah.
The second thing was this idea that I kept coming back to. We've talked about it here before, that Bupenza and Acosta get in each other's way. That they both want to play a similar style of free-flowing, go where the flow is, go with the game state, move in contrary nature to what would be expected of them positionally based on how the look and feel of things. And it just ended up with them occupying the same airspace, or if they're not occupying the same airspace, that if two people on the field are freelancing at the same time, it probably means that there's a lack of shape somewhere else that's going to bog the offense down. And number 3 was, we talked about last week, the idea of not playing down the right-hand side.
Yeah.
And you can't replace Brandon Vasquez. We'll get to possibly how that's being done. But then they tried to see what it looked like if they didn't have Acosta and Bupenza both on the field at the same time, occupying each other's airspace. And they tried moving the ball down the right-hand side a little bit more. And so to me, this was kind of like, this was if you're not going to change the formation, this was the next logical step to at least take a look at where is the problem. I don't know that you have an answer to that yet after one game, but you've got some strong evidence, I would say.
Yeah. To that point, and this is worth mentioning, especially in the, say, the lineup portion of this conversation, Hagelin coming back is a big moment for the overall shape of the team. Not that I even necessarily think Hagelin's a better defender than Murphy. It's just something that I don't think any one of us were unique in this compared to some of the other discourse online. But just when you have Orishano, who is new to the wingback position, he has not played this position as far as I can tell before in his career. But they saw the skills that were similar to Barrial, so they brought him in to do this. But you needed a veteran defender, at least you'd like a veteran defender behind him to support him. And that has been, for the early part of the season, mainly Ian Murphy, which is a fine defender, but he's not Miles Robinson, who was behind him in this game. And when you move Nick Hagglund over to the right side, a fine defender, could start on any number of MLS teams. You do enable Yedlin to get forward plenty more. I think it helps out Orishano doing that. And then, I think there's a deliberate effort to bring in Yedlin more in the attack. I think touches wise, this is something we brought up after the last game. I think only 2 or 3 touches separated Yedlin and Orishano. And that was not even in the ballpark against Montreal. So
it was double.
Yeah.
He had half as many touches as Orishano did in that game against Montreal. In this game, it's much more evenly distributed across the field.
Yeah, I got 63 touches for Yedlin and 65 for Orishano. So,
and as we go down and we talk about this game, Yedlin is heavily involved in everything that was going right on this game. And because they're a little less one-sided, I think it puts less pressure on Orishano too, or at least forces the defense to consider both halves of the field. But with the Bupenza thing specifically, you wonder at this point where you go from here.
Yeah.
Because it seems to me...
I want to just say a couple of things.
Okay, go ahead.
Not about the meta narrative yet on this, but just on the game.
Yeah.
I think like playing Miles on the left does make you more balanced without any changes in the attack. Mm-hmm. It just does, because you're less concerned about the space behind Orishano when he gets forward. I've heard, I think people speculate that because Bupenza's left-footed, that you can't play on the right because the attack goes to his right side first. Yedlin's assist to Acosta went to Acosta's left foot first. Acosta took it with his left foot.
Yeah.
So like, and I think something like a third of Barrial's assists in his career with FC Cincinnati went to Brandon Vasquez, who was right-footed. So these are balls coming in from the left to the right. And many of those are to his head, but plenty of those went across his body to his right foot. A player can receive a ball across their body.
Yes.
They do it all the time.
Yes.
Bupenza is not like uniquely ill-suited to accepting a ball across his body. So like I don't really accept that as an excuse here. And then the last point I want to make is Atlanta, because of like injuries and availability, was like pretty heavily rotated.
Yeah.
And it's actually not a great sign that FC Cincinnati went through the first half scoreless and didn't score until Atlanta made a kind of embarrassingly bad corner that gave them like a free breakaway down the field that they did well with, for sure. But it wasn't like that was a chance that was made from like build up or from like the attackers, running and creating spaces and stuff. They still, frankly, kind of sucked this game. They lost the XG battle on FOTMob, for example.
Yeah.
And they were fairly fortunate not to go a couple goals down. And then, they were also unfortunate not to score a couple as well. And some of those that they were unfortunate to score were like Corey Baird deciding rather than take a shot, he's going to pass to Yuya Kubo, who was basically in the exact same position he's in.
Yeah.
Right.
Or Corey Baird is going to hit a ball off his shin, or Corey Baird is not going to get a shot off. He's just going to donkey foot 2 touches and run straight into 2 defenders.
Yeah. And, so it's a good result for sure. And they were doing, and it's nice that they were able to score involving both sides of the wingbacks. But it's not like sitting Bupenza suddenly made the forwards that much more dangerous.
Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't disagree with this more. The first half, this team looked more dangerous than it has at any point in the season, other than against Cavalier or the home leg against Monterey.
How do you control that versus like the previous games, including against like Monterey or against like full professionals? And this game was against like Atlanta United 2 academy players.
I mean, it wasn't all Atlanta United 2 academy players.
They were picking on Atlanta United 2 academy players for at least a significant portion of this. But
like this team looked more free flowing. They created more chances. Orishano hits the post in the first half. Corey Baird a better player scores a goal in the position Corey Baird got to. Baird almost put a header in where, again, a better player scores in that situation. They had multiple chances created directly in front of goal where they skied balls over the net. Kubo put 2 over the net. Lucho put 1 over the net. The only reason they lost the XG battle is because Alec Ken made an absolute meal of a cross, and Miazga had to get in his face to scream at him that he didn't go out and collect a ball, that Miazga had to head down and led to a point-blank opportunity.
Miazga could have done better with the header.
It was a 0.8 XG opportunity where Can was rooted to the spot. I mean,
Miazga headed the ball right to the Atlanta player.
Sure.
He could have done something else with it.
Yeah. They both could have done better with that. But that's 0.8 of their XG.
And until we hear otherwise, I don't think Miazga went to yell at Can. I think he went to tell Can that he should thank him for giving him a chance to make that great save. After what we heard from Evan Loro a few weeks ago.
I'm just going to say it definitely looked like it didn't look like he was throwing hard hands to Alec right there. But Grayson, I disagree. I disagree completely. This team, that was as open, as flowing. That looked like what we saw more of last year, where it was Lucho with the ball in the middle of the field, picking and choosing and distributing, and guys were getting the ball in open spaces with chances to make things happen. Look, I like I said, it's one game, but my biggest takeaway from this game is that Aaron Bupenza and Lucho Acosta, I'd already thought this. They do not play well together. This was a strong bit of evidence that Lucho Acosta and Aaron Bupenza are force the inverse of force multiplying one another. That they do too much of the same thing, and there's not enough room on the field for both of them. And taking him off the field immediately opened everything up for this offense.
Yeah, Grayson, I'm curious to point it to you directly. This performance that I think everybody was pretty happy generally with, maybe except for you, with how the offense went. Do you think it would have made a difference one way or the other if Boupendza plays in Baird's role this game? Do you think maybe the offense looks better with Boupendza there?
If he ends up in the same, with the same opportunities that Baird got, yes. However, we do know that despite the fact that like Boupendza is in all comps like our co-leading scorer this season, Lucho is not going to pass him the ball.
But he also
and once again, it was another game where Lucho was either scored or assisted both of our goals, right?
Yeah.
And it's just kind of shocking that the only goals that he's not been involved with are Boupendza's.
Yeah.
I don't know, but like, sure. But Boupendza hasn't made any run even remotely similar to the run Acosta made and got on the end of that cross from Yedlin in the second half. He just doesn't make that run. For all the talk about Boupendza being a poacher or Boupendza having good goal scoring instincts, he seems to never be in position to score goals. Like he seems to never make the run to make himself available. It's very obvious he and Lucho don't like playing with one another in terms of passing the ball. That seems very obvious. Yeah. But it's also not like you look at opportunities where it's like, oh my God, Boupendza was in this great place to score a goal and he just didn't get passed to. You just don't see that from him.
I mean, that feels like you're erasing all of the goals that he has scored.
All two of them?
Well, he scored a lot of goals last year in limited time. We've seen him be in position to score goals. We've seen him score goals. Yeah, I mean, I do agree that something seems to be wrong with between him and Lucho. And it seems like it's very stupid that is still a problem. But I don't know who to blame for that. And, I'm with you on this point where if it came down to like, choosing between having Lucho or Boupendza on the field, I'm picking Lucho. But I'm frustrated that two players who we've both seen play really, really well can't seem to play well together consistently.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a thought whose fault it is, and it's probably not the player who's the reigning MVP and might be the player who can't seem to get out of his way off the field, who's getting into spats with his national team.
Hold on. That national team thing wasn't. We've talked about this before, where it's like if you bring up the same thing multiple times and create like news cycles about the same thing multiple times, it feels like this guy keeps screwing up. But you just keep mentioning that time that he screwed up. And like, there's no reason to believe, based on the statement that came out, that anything new happened that we already didn't know about months ago. So, like,
maybe I misread it. I was under the impression that he took to Instagram Live recently and disparaged the coach.
I did not read recent in the statement at all.
Well, fair enough. It just...
That was what I thought the story was, is that he was on... I read this as something that was a very recent thing on social media that he had done, either on Instagram Live or, doing a Q&A with somebody on Instagram or something.
Maybe somebody pull the Instagram.
Yeah, I don't know.
Where's the video? I don't know.
Well, I don't speak French. It could be anywhere.
The damn French are sneaky like that.
Yeah, I know.
I just want to be careful about about like painting somebody as if they're like constantly screwing up, when a lot of it is either tabloid over exaggeration.
Yeah.
That was repeated kind of inexplicably by people who are media, like real media. Like you can't, like, I think it's a little irresponsible to take like tabloid conjecture and just treat it like it's news uncritically. And other times when it's just like people keep bringing up the same stuff, and just because you're bringing it up again doesn't mean it's new. Or that it's like something that keeps, or it's like a pattern. Like you're creating the pattern by bringing it up again. And I just want to be like responsible about like identifying like what are the discrete instances that like a player did something genuinely wrong before we're going to, you know, paint somebody's character away a certain way. And like, you know, The Athletic did a whole thing that didn't really get picked up in local media about how much of a mess the Gabonese National Federation is. And that includes like a pattern of abuse of youth players. And so like, I think I don't want to, I don't want to take somebody's disagreement with a organization that has its own problems, that has apparently a documented history of engaging in, condoning, covering up, abetting various forms of youth abuse, and turning this into like a character flaw of the individual. Like a character flaw of the individual is like, you will not play nice with your team captain. Like that would be a character flaw of the individual that I think is worth discussing. His national team stuff, I do not give a shit about unless we get like a much clearer picture of what's going on with the Gabonese National Federation at like a broad level.
Well, I'm convinced. That was an impassioned defense, and I have fully bought in.
I don't know. Do we just want to have this whole part be the Bupenza thing before we get like really into the game?
I mean,
because at some point,
that's fine.
Yeah,
okay, that's at some point, Bupenza is the narrative of the game,
right?
He's a designated player. We paid $7 million for him to come over here. I don't give a fuck. You're either producing or you're not. He's not been producing this year, and he's looked bad. And
yeah, that's fine.
They pulled him off the field last night, and it was the best the team has looked in a while. That's a problem. It is a problem, capital P, that this team looked better without Aaron Bupenza.
I don't think it's true that that this is the best they've looked all year. I think there's a little bit of blinders with the result. That's all I'm saying. I think there's blinders with the result. You cannot tell me that this team looked better against Atlanta and Atlanta's, you know, academy backups than it did against like Monterey in frankly losing efforts.
I would say Atlanta United 2 is about as good as CF Montreal. No,
and they looked clueless against Montreal. Yeah, they looked absolutely clueless.
Yeah. And I mean, just in terms of shots generated, like
I said Monterey, not Montreal.
I know I'm going Montreal because that's who we played previously. But like,
sure.
In this game, FC Cincinnati generates 19 shots. Against Montreal, it was 8 total shots. Like a lot of, you know, you horseshoe theory on soccer statistics. You go so far down the G+ route, a lot of like big stat heads just end up back at shots. And like if a team is generating shots, it's a good offense. Yeah, the shot total over the last couple of games versus Atlanta is pretty remarkable as to what was turned around there. Now, I will say, and this has always been Bupenza's MO, is that he's incredibly efficient, is that when he gets shots, they are almost always on frame. And because of that, he tends to have a high scoring rate given the number of shots he generates. But to Chief's inevitable point, he's not always in position to generate those shots.
Well, here's another thing. And, you know, after the game, Tommy G talked to Noonan again. Mm-hmm. And Tommy G said, "Coach, is this the most complete performance that your team has put on all season?" And Noonan said no.
Like Noonan always says no.
Noonan was not thrilled with the performance.
He's never thrilled with the performance.
But even like relative to the rest of the games.
Yeah.
He didn't, he like downplayed, how good or whatever it was. I mean, I agree, I think, with a lot of what you're saying about, there's a problem with Bupenza, and I think it is possible that like he does not need to be starting every game. I'm definitely open to that. And, maybe, I mean, Colorado's not the game either to like figure out like if they're really like that much improved, because Colorado is dire.
Right.
But they'll they have like Columbus in May?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see.
Yeah.
Like let's start, let's run this lineup out against Columbus and see how good.
I'm going to point out Colorado is sitting on 13 points with 4 wins, 3 draws, 4 wins, 3 draws, 2 losses. Colorado, they've been dire. They spent a lot of money in the transfer window this offseason. They're a much better team than they were the Colorado team of the last couple of years.
I guess I just I didn't think about them since like their first match where they got their
brains
ass kicked in.
Yeah, just it's there is. I guess we'll talk about this as the week goes on. But now you are in a position now because of what this result looks like, where I don't see any way you can start Aaron Bupenza next week. I think you have to roll this lineup out. Corey Baird, as much as I dog on the guy, he looked more threatening in this game than Bupenza has looked for weeks. Like, he was in better position to score goals.
Yeah.
And what is it we've been talking about with Brandon Vasquez? What have they been missing with Brandon Vasquez? They have been missing movement, not just the hold-up play, not just the height. They have been missing movement. People doing unselfish things and moving in order to free space in both the midfield and in the final third to allow the offense to distribute the ball to open people. And
I'll give full credit to Baird for his movement in connection with the second goal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very smart run, a very smart off-ball play by him that I think undoubtedly contributed to Lucho being able to receive that ball as wide open as he was and score.
And is there any doubt? I don't
think Bupenza makes the run the way that Baird did.
And if he does make the run, he's making a play.
Makes a play on the ball and gets caught
fucks everything up.
Yeah, I agree. In that specific situation, 100%.
I mean, look, it's fun stuff to talk about and think about. Honestly, I'm just happy I'm not Pat Noonan right now because, this could be a very awkward week of training between who you start with these guys because, at the same time, Bupenza can walk into coach's office and be like, but Bear didn't score either. So why are you benching me? Like, it's right there for me in terms of like he didn't produce. I did like this. I don't know where else I'm going to note this, but just I'll throw it in what I'm dubbing our strikers conversation here. Yuya Kubo led the game in tackles won for both teams, all positions.
And here's the thing with Kubo again. Kubo didn't score. I bet him to score. He didn't score, but he was he as well. When Baird and him were playing together, the movement of the strikers was so much better in terms of how they moved. They advanced and retreated, and Kubo was all over the final third. He received the ball in dangerous positions. He didn't do a lot with it. He skied a few shots. He scuffed another one that he should have done better with at about 12 yards out maybe. But he and Baird, they looked so much more active and so much more dangerous paired with one another. And then the thing about Kubo, too, is why you almost can't take him down now, is that as you go to protect the lead, Kubo drifts back into the midfield, and he's defending. And he defends better than just about anyone else that you can play at striker, to where you don't have to use a substitution with Kubo. He can just drift backwards, and he's not a liability in defense.
Right. And
so,
actually,
I don't know.
I think they were keeping Lucho high a lot. So, like, even though Kubo technically was listed in the lineup as, the striker next to Baird, it felt like in defensive formation, Kubo was drifting back as like a midfielder and Lucho was staying high.
And if you do that in a formation, where do you think you're going to have more success? With Kubo drifting back into the midfield and Lucho playing alongside Corey Baird, where there's very clearly a Batman and Robin, or Lucho playing alongside Aaron Bupenza, where it's Batman and wannabe Batman?
I'll tell you this. If all of this ends up with Kubo just moving back to striker,
funniest timeline ever.
That's the best. That's the funniest and best possible timeline of his time at FC Cincinnati.
We already have a DP striker at home. I mean, come on.
The funniest possible outcome, the absolute funniest possible outcome, is we use the one-time buyout on Sergio Santos and bring in Jurgen Locadia. And it's Locadia and Kubo starting up top again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for it, but that's not like a plausible
outcome
right now. Like,
or maybe what's wrong with Aaron Bupenza is
bring back Kenny Safe.
Yeah, maybe what's wrong with Bupenza is he needs to get into DJing. Has he looked into DJing?
Right.
I almost guarantee you he has.
There's no doubt. DJ Boop, come on, who wouldn't hire the man?
He didn't know Boop. There it is. It feels like somebody with a budding DJing career would have come across that one.
There is no, maybe not somebody who's 27.
No. There is no mid-20s DJ that's playing Whoop. There it is.
Oh, come on. Who's using a Geico commercial? It's a certified classic at this point.
It's house music only.
Oh, God. Well, not to actually talk about the actual game. No, but so much of this was the formation of the system. And that is so much of what we talked about leading up to this one. In the first half, I will say I don't have a lot of notes right up until the new injury rule came into play right before halftime. But yeah.
So what I will say about the first half is they were wide open. They were threatening.
Yeah.
It looked a lot more like last year's FC Cincinnati squad, where you saw a lot of breaks with Lucho in the middle playing distributor to one side or the other. Like we had gotten away from those kind of being able to move on the counter. Mm-hmm. Now, some of that, to Grayson's point, was rotation in Atlanta made their high press was utterly ineffective. And this FC Cincinnati team has been very susceptible to being pressed. Atlanta's press was garbage in this game.
Our press, though, on the other hand, was quite good, I thought.
Yeah.
Very good. No, I agree with that completely. I think a large part of that, though, is that when you have Kubo and Baird up top, they're going to do dirty work on the press, and they did it effectively in this game. I will say Yedlin had an unbelievable cross in the first half that absolutely should have produced a goal, but could not be controlled by Lucho. He had one too heavy of a touch, but it was almost a carbon copy of the play they later score on. Yedlin was outstanding in this game. And right from the jump, there was an effort to play down the right side in this game. And I think a large part of that's what we talked about, where if you have Hagland on the right-hand side and you have
Robinson
Miles, on the left-hand side, it allows you to be more balanced.
Yeah.
It allows you to not have to worry about where the defense is going to come into or overloading one side or the other. So being able to make those switches of play to the right-hand side, it was immediately apparent in this game, and I thought it really opened the offense up in the first half.
Yeah, and I agree with Chief wholeheartedly that Yedlin was excellent up and down the field. I've not gone back and looked at the stats. I don't really, frankly, care very much about whatever the stats say about his play. What he brought to the game at multiple moments, just having that level of quality to not just make the pass for the assist in the second half or make the pass that Chief mentioned, but to find space with the ball through a nice little touch or to make a couple of 1-2 passes with the attackers, just having a player of his quality to try to do kind of the more difficult things consistently that beat defenders and break lines. It's very difficult, I think, to measure the value of that.
Yeah.
Which is what we've been talking about with a player like him or Orishano on the left side, just like being able to try things that having the ability to try things and having the ability to pull things off that just other players just can't.
Yeah. I mean, to counter that, Grayson, I will say he was 0 for 3 on successful dribbles. Should Elvis Powell be starting for this team? I was really hoping I was going to get a spit take there.
It was because they actually freed him up and they played down the right side and they allowed him to get dangerous. This was the first time this season, I think, that he looked flat out better than the player he replaced with Arias. But he was doing things that they had Arias doing last year going forward, but his defense was elite as well, whereas Arias's defense could be shaky at times. So I thought it was an incredible first half overall
ability
game for
to
him.
recover, to chase guys down when he's forward was excellent. And I would be remiss, I know we're like on the first half, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention also like Orishano saved a goal in the second half.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to talk about in the first half, it carried out throughout the entire game. This was a night and day performance as well from Nwobodo. He did not have any bad giveaways.
Yes.
He was active. The only blemish on his resume is that I think that going back and watching the Almada goal in the second half, I think that was on Nwobodo for leaving his mark and then missing a pass. But overall, on the whole, compared to how he looked like he'd been missing a step the last couple of games, I thought Nwobodo looked much, much better and much more like the player we've been used to seeing over the last year and a half here with the FC.
I think he looked improving. There was the Almada situation, and then I think there was like at least one other time he was like late making a tackle where a 100% OB like makes those nearly every time. And I did feel like he didn't have his, I know MLS refs don't respect like how elite his timing of his tackles is always.
Yeah.
But like it did feel like he just isn't quite there with the precision and the timing of his tackles. But I agree with Chief that he looks like he's definitely closer to getting back to what you want to see.
Yeah, and it's hard to give this praise when Almada scores, but I did think Nwobodo did a good job of locking down Almada and making him look more pedestrian than he otherwise looks. I mean, this is a guy that Atlanta is holding out for like $30 million transfer for, and he looked like, sure, a good player, don't get me wrong, but I think Nwobodo helped keep him in check. Probably also helped that Atlanta was starting literally Daniel Rios up top, so there's some give and take there. But no, the situation at the end of the first half I want to talk about because it was our first real true introduction to the new injury rule anti-time wasting measure, which is the situation unfolds such that both Miles Robinson and Nick Hagglund go down due to injury. The physio team comes out to, I think it's look at Hagglund, and they give water. Like they're also giving water to Miles Robinson in that situation. And as far as I can tell, the referee interpreted that as the physio's coming out to treat Robinson, and therefore he needed to sit out the 2 minutes or whatever the allotted time was. While at the same time, Hagglund was then substituted out. And it feels like if Hagglund had not been substituted out, he too would have been forced to sit out for that amount of time. But it did really, I don't know, like in general, I'm in favor of these rules, but you could very quickly see where injuring a couple of key players, like right before a corner is taken, suddenly left us empty-handed at certain positions. It was tough scenes. I don't know, Chief. What was your thought seeing that event unfold?
This system is rife for problems and mischief. And the comparison that I think Todd Carnes made it online was that it's like hockey except you go to the penalty box for, getting hurt.
Yeah.
Or being fouled, having someone foul you gets you sent to the penalty box. As long as I think that the rule works, and the way the rule is written, that if the opposing player is given a card, then you don't have to go out no matter how much time it is. Or if it's a head injury, you don't have to go out no matter how much time it is once you've been cleared by the independent examination. So in this case, it was a foul. I thought it was a foul on Robinson, but really what it was just two people that came together, and Robinson got the wind knocked out of him, apparently. I think that was what Noonan said in his post-game comments, was that he just couldn't breathe on the field. He, got, literally the wind knocked out of him. And so as a result of that, they get penalized. But I don't want to overlook this too, that so I did not think that Alec Kann had a very good game in this game. I think that he made a number of mistakes. He had like maybe one or two good saves, but at least one of those were his fault for creating the save opportunity in the first place. But in this injury and this problem was because Kann doesn't collect a ball that wasn't particularly well hit, where it looked like a pretty routine save. He spills it, and because play continues, Robinson has to go for the cleanup, and that's where he gets taken out right there. And man, you can't do that as a goalkeeper. You can't. That was an unnecessary hit that Robinson took, and if Robinson had been injured on that there would have been a lot of finger pointing, I think, at Cann's keeping on that play.
So I think the ref screwed this play up in multiple ways.
Well, they're professionals. They don't get anything wrong.
I don't want any of that to be lost. Okay, so first of all, Noonan said that the refs, I think the fourth official had told him that they weren't going to, that they were going to give him time to recover because it wasn't a 15-second recovery from the impact that Miles took. And then they changed their mind on that. Or the center official didn't agree with the fourth official on that point. I don't know. I know they're talking to each other. So it'd be kind of irresponsible for the fourth official to make an assurance that FC Cincinnati then acts in reliance upon. That's not our fault. Right. Second, the rule, I'm looking at the off-field treatment rule. It says if the referee stops play due to potential player injury in which the player remains on the ground for more than 15 seconds and the medical staff enters the field of play, the player may be required to leave the field of play for 2 minutes. Okay? May. Not must. May be required. And that tracks with what Tommy G said on the radio broadcast, was that it was discretionary for the official to require the player to leave.
What the heck?
So, and there's and you add in the confusion,
right,
of whether Miles was being treated, or what FC Cincinnati's position on it is that Nick Hagglund was being treated, and Miles just got water like multiple other players did. Okay. If Miles was just getting water, then this rule shouldn't apply to him in the first place, because it's not medical staff entering the field of play for him. It's medical staff entering the field of play for Hagglund.
Right.
Okay. I thought you were going to say because water is a human right, not a treatment.
That's true. The other point, unless you're giving water to immigrants in Arizona,
true,
then it's a felony.
Or unless we're seeking sponsorship from the Nestle Corporation.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Especially that part. But if Miles was also getting treatment, then this portion of the rule applies. It says, additionally, OTR, which is over the Rhine, but it's also off-field treatment rule. Additionally, OTR does not apply to the assessment of potential injuries involving the following. One of those is instances when two players on the same team require medical staff to enter the field for an injury. So
I think
if Miles was also being treated by medical staff and Haglund, then this rule doesn't apply in the first place.
Isn't that just for when two players, it's a factor in the coming together of two players, like for...
Where does it say that?
I don't know.
Where does it say that?
Okay, Mr. Textualist.
All right. So that might be the intent, but that's not what it says here. And
look at the framers' intent here.
And if MLS doesn't mean the words that because the MLS told us to read the rule. Like MLS... When the communications came out with the tweet, when what's the guy's name? Ali, the MLS executive who went on the Cooligans to talk about it, Ali Frazier. No, not Ali Frazier.
I was just saying, there's a human being named Ali Frazier.
It's Robin Frazier. So whoever it is, they said they want
Ali
fans.
Foreman, his brother.
They said they want fans to go on the website and read it for themselves.
Yeah, fair
I'm
enough.
reading it for myself. It doesn't say when there's coming together.
Yeah.
It just says when two players on the same team require medical staff to enter the field for an injury.
So
That's
on the same team. Okay, so it's not even that it's a head-to-head collision with the other team. Okay, same team.
Yeah. It says two players on the same team.
Wow.
So the rules that they let us read indicate in, I think, at least 3 different ways that Miles should not have been required to leave the field. Plus, what we know about the circumstances with what representations the refs made to Pat Noonan. And just our eyes that when you take a fucking knee to your chest, that shouldn't be something that we incentivize.
Right.
That you give a team an advantage for
speaking
taking
of
out
the
an opposing
framers'
player
intention.
That. Now you get to play a man up for 2 minutes. Like, Jesus Christ.
Right. But speaking of the intention, correct me if I'm wrong, the intention is an anti-time wasting mechanism. So the idea that a team at a draw nearing halftime is attempting to time waste, I don't know.
There should be some common sense here at some point.
I think that that's why you say may be required.
I don't like that though. That just means they're going to let the Red Bulls do whatever they want.
Yeah, no, this was this was the first week that the rules were being used. But they cannot say the ref was.
But we were told that they had to delay implementation of these rules because of the replacement refs.
Mm-hmm.
Then they delayed implementation for multiple weeks, even with the regular PSRA refs. And now we're being told they also don't know how to do it.
No, they knew how to.
That's not a good explanation.
They knew how to do it. It's just that they weren't going to miss their first opportunity with this rules being used. This ref not to show off and flex that I'm going to send somebody off for 2 minutes in this game.
I mean, it's a fun power that they've just been awarded. Of course, he was going to use it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that they have more discretion to send our guys off just for a little bit of time.
Yeah, if anything, it disincentivizes sending physios onto the field. Wait, does it say?
Although, what is funny though is that in the second half there was an instance where Matt Miazga was down on the ground. Motherfucker hopped up real quick as soon as he realized he was on a 15-second count.
I mean, there's also, potential head injury. I know Miles didn't get hit in the head, but it was pretty close.
Yeah.
But he should just grab your head. That's what I would do. Just grab your head. As soon as you go to the ground, grab your head and just see what happens.
That's what the Red Bulls did in the playoffs last year. I guarantee there was a fake. I remember this. There was a fake concussion. Yeah.
Another exception is the player indicates to the referee that he does not need medical staff to enter the field and resumes playing. So, I do think that Miles probably indicated he did not need medical staff. I think I saw it on the broadcast. So, Miles should not have been required to leave the field for 2 minutes. But even if the rule did require him to leave the field for 2 minutes, that's a dumb rule. And it sucks that the first example of this rule being used was a clearly dumb situation.
Yeah.
Is there a limit to how many players you could have off the field at one time? Like, could you simultaneously injure like 4 dudes?
Right.
Have them play down 4 men? That seems like a life hack.
I also like the idea that the player waves off the physio, but the referee calls them on anyway, and then they get sent off. Cool.
You look really hurt. Get the doctor out here. Come on. Come on. No. You are too hurt to continue.
Yeah.
Come on.
He doesn't. I mean, isn't that the referee's role in a prize fight, to tell the fighter when they can't go on because of their injuries, even though they may want to? Like, yeah, of course a referee's gonna override that decision now that this hangs in the balance.
Also, after that conversation, my new preferred method of making a name up is going to be just take a famous fight and just use the fighters' names for it. So Tyson Douglas is going to be.
I know that guy. I went to school with Tyson Douglas.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
He was just a real buster. What do you want to say about him?
Oh God. Should we talk about the goals? Yeah, we did.
Sure.
We did already talk about the Almada goal. I mean, yes, there's plenty of criticism to be had for not tracking him. It definitely was Obi's guy to stick with, especially given Almada's reputation. I will say, though, dude still hits it 20 yards outside of the box past 4 FCC defenders, and Can is at full stretch and still can't get it. At a certain point, that ball's going into the back of the net, and there is nothing you can do about it. And this goal, in my mind, is exactly why we use the phrase MLS clean sheet. That, like, one's going in no matter what. So you just gotta understand that, and then you move on from there. It
was a low percentage shot for anyone else other than Almada. So sometimes you just what do they say? You tip your cap, I guess. But you would like to see Obi do a little better on that one.
Yeah.
I think they said it was like a 0.05 XG strike.
I'd believe it. There's a hell of a curve on it. So depending on your XG model, it looks like it's going wildly off course right up until it isn't. So yeah, I mean, well done to Almada. I do think it's maybe worth marinating on this one for 1 second, which is Almada has been desperate to leave Atlanta for a while now. Atlanta has stated repeatedly that they have a number and they will not budge from it. I do worry about, or I just wonder if certain elements of the FC Cincinnati fan base were Atlanta United fans. At what point would they be trying to set fire to Lagerwey's office for not releasing Almada and not holding back his hopes and dreams, and that they're being so incredibly selfish by maintaining one of the best players in Major League Soccer to play for their alleged favorite soccer team versus what we still continue to get with Barreal and Vasquez and Brenner and whatever else?
I just want to know, why is Almada still playing? I thought the whole thing is that if you are really looking for that move, I thought the move was to refuse to play until your demands were accepted.
And it's illegal to ask for fair value for a player.
Yes.
Or to set a value and try to ask for that. That's unfair. It's a human rights violation. It's, probably the greatest human rights violation happening in the world right now.
Many people are saying
it's up there. I mean, Almada's 22 years old. The old biological clock is ticking. Come on, Garth.
Yeah, I mean, he's already proved it in MLS. He's frankly nothing more he's going to prove. So if he hasn't earned his move in MLS, he needs to go, force a move to the second division of Chile and prove he can do it there.
Or maybe some smaller side on a loan in the Ligue 1.
Yeah, Ligue 2.
The incredible move finally for him to Ligue 1, where he immediately is injured and then just never plays for that team ever again. Yeah, I
mean, the answer is that for some teams, it's perfectly fine to expect players under contract to continue to play for you.
Mm-hmm.
and other teams that's not the expectation.
And
I don't know how to square it.
Yeah. Some teams are allowed to, make the money because it's a business. Other teams, it's a charity case, and we should be doing whatever we can to help these young men succeed.
Yeah. Well, you just got to feel for the Atlanta United fans and, frankly, the coaching staff that they are stuck with, again, one of the best 22-year-olds at soccer on planet Earth, the poor bastards.
It's a little entitled to expect a player to play for you in the first place, right? Like you sign him to a contract. He's already done his work for you. Like, move him on.
There is a point of just
let him experience his dreams.
Sports is selfish.
Winning trophies is cool, but have you seen how many people we've helped that realize their dreams?
Oh my God! What isn't San Diego
Speaking
building?
Of realize your dreams.
Yeah, San Diego's building.
Archimedes Ordonez.
Oh yes.
Scored a European goal.
Before Brenner,
before Vasquez, before Barrial.
Before all of them, there was Keating.
Keating in the second division of Sweden. Good on him. It's honestly
it's Europe. Just ask a U.S. men's national team fan. Ask somebody who has like USMNT or like Berhalter out in their profile.
How many more goals does Kimi have to score for the second division of Sweden before somebody says, should we cap tie him before Guatemala gets him? Or I always mess up.
I'm a little shocked it hasn't happened yet. Like, we got the Olympics coming up.
I heard he's scoring goals in Europe.
Yeah, it's worth noting. Now this was great.
You know who else scored a goal in Europe? Dambaji.
Recently?
Yeah, I think in the last week or two.
Nice. Well done.
Cap tie him.
Bring him back.
He's a citizen.
We've been looking for a striker.
If there's an American striker scoring goals in Europe, we should sign him.
Right. we need him now. What I really enjoyed about Atlanta, the timing of Atlanta United scoring and then FCC responding, is it was just enough time for everybody to send their meltdown tweets, and then be immediately not disproven, but you're immediately on the back foot. It was pretty good.
It had been a tough watch to that point. We'd seen a lot of scuffed goals, a lot of shots going high, yeah. We'll say. A lot of shots going high. And to Grayson's point that this wasn't this wasn't like some great build-up goal. This wasn't some great effort from the offense.
I want to tell you how I found out we scored.
Ooh, okay.
Because I did not put a meltdown tweet. I did pull up my FanDuel app and start and look to double down on my pregame bet for Atlanta to win.
Oh, baby.
And I clicked on the game, and FanDuel told me it was 1-1.
The casinos have the script before we do. That's absurd.
Well, I told you I was like a minute and a half behind everybody.
Right.
It's a dangerous place to be when you're betting.
And I was like, well, I better not place this bet.
What I love about the response goal is that I hate Brooks Lennon. I think that he has an incredibly punchable face.
Yes.
He looks like Wee Man from Jackass a little bit.
He does.
We've already used that for Chris Albright.
We can reuse it now because
they look similar.
Fuck Brooks Lennon. But this goal gets scored because Brooks Lennon makes an incredible business decision on a short corner that Lucho picks his pocket and it's off to the races. And then Lennon ends up covering Orishano on this play and then stops running, and then Orishano cooks him and scores the goal. So he is responsible for all parts of this goal being scored, from the shitty play on the short corner to not keeping his run up with Orishano and getting absolutely cooked for the goal.
Man, it reminds me of the bargaining I could just feel Grayson was doing when the rumors were swirling that we were in for an MLS right back. I was like, oh, what if Brooks Lennon shows up for FCC? It felt like a very real possibility. And
Imagine an FCC team with John Tolkien and Brooks Lennon on the back line.
Oh my God. And Aaron Long. I mean, you could build an all asshole team. It'd be okay MLS team, but man, you'd hate to play him. Dax McCarty's the captain for me. I hate that guy.
Miazga is still here.
Miazga doesn't move an inch.
No, he doesn't move. Your heel champion.
Acosta might be on that list. I don't know how other fan bases feel about him, but
he could be on that team. So yeah. Atlanta hates him, but only because he has scored a lot on them between us and DC.
He was also itching for a fist fight in this game for the majority of the time he was playing.
Yeah.
Which I'm cool with.
Yeah. But yeah, Orishano gets his first MLS goal. First goal, all competitions. I wasn't sure if he scored. Okay.
Yeah.
There were so many goals scored against Cavalier.
He might have had a goal in preseason.
Okay.
There was a trialist goal.
No one's claiming.
No one could know.
In the 69th minute, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think so.
Which prompted a fantastic trialist number 69 kit out there in the fan base, which I really, really enjoy. But yeah, this was the kind of goal that made you, I don't know, just Back to the Future style, the picture frame of Barreal, his image just got a little dimmer with this goal. Orishano with this one, it was pretty nice. He hits it in stride. Guzan doesn't have a chance here. The fast break that you love to see. Pay no attention to how dumb the corner truly was from Atlanta to start it all off.
You know what it was like? What movie it was like? It was like the JFK, when there's retracing they're retracing Lee Harvey Oswald's steps, and there's the Oswald lookalike that shows up in the pictures and videos.
Yeah.
Orishano was the Barreal lookalike on this goal, where somebody could show you this and say at the trial, or before the Warren Commission, this was Barreal who scored this goal.
Right.
And Jim Garrity will tell you, no, that's another man.
or the scene in Last Action Hero where they go into the movie store and it's Sylvester Stallone as Terminator 2. It's that was supposed to be Alvaro Barreal. You were in that movie.
Orishano was great in that. It was real bad.
Barreal's Austrian now. Those are the rules. It would probably help him move to Europe. Yeah.
So can we talk about also how when the goal is scored, the MLS or the Apple TV camera immediately zooms onto Corey Baird, and the announcers are fully committed to the idea that Corey Baird has scored this goal for at least 30 seconds. And I don't think that the lead announcer admits he's made a mistake until his color guy, when recapping the replay, says, no, it was Oriano, as he calls him the entire game. That it was in fact Orishano that had scored. And it led to an incredible moment where multiple people were tagging me that Corey Baird had scored a goal. And I got to go back and be like, no, you didn't. I'm still right. My take is still correct.
They got me because, like I said, I'm watching on the projector. So the image isn't amazing. And I thought it was Orishano. And then the announcer just keeps talking Baird. I was like, oh, shit, it must have been Baird. I was totally wrong. And so from the post, I tweeted out Baird finally gets his goal. Let's do it.
Nope.
Watch the replay. Nope, that's not Baird. Quickly delete, repost the exact same tweet, but talking about Luka. Yeah, it was good.
It's just some big ass stolen valor by Baird there.
It really was. Baird's not even. He's running on the opposite side of the field. I feel like it's very weird that they just straight up confused them.
It's not. It's It's more of a Evan Hansen situation.
Okay.
Where somebody else makes a mistake and you just don't correct them.
And you just got to roll.
What if they just would have? I just would have gone with it. I just would have, committed that was a Corey Baird goal and just try to gaslight everyone into it.
Argue the rest of the game that they can't believe Orishano stole that goal from Baird.
Insist that it took
the man who shot Liberty Valance kind of situation. Like maybe Baird genuinely thought that he did score the goal. And he only found out later that he didn't.
Ooh. Is
Spoiler
it a
alert
lie
for the man who shot Liberty Valance?
Yeah. Does lying require intent? Maybe he truly believes here. I like this.
Do we have to start referring to Oriano as Mark David Chapman, considering how badly he murdered Lennon on that play? Speaking of shooters.
Mark David Chapman.
Oh, God. Well, and then just as everybody was walking back their takes and saying, well, you know, the performance still wasn't all that great, DeAndre Yedlin hits a perfect pass. A pass that honestly, Lucho probably thought was pretty good. That's how good that pass was. And he just finds Lucho in stride, Lucho with all of the calm and control in the world to take the ball down with his foot, with his shin. Is that what it was? Yeah, he plays it with his thigh, and Guzan has no chance. And, you know, to Baird's credit, he doesn't make a play. He does duck his head down. I do think he's offside if he does touch this, although Baird is. Yeah.
Yes, I think Baird is. I think Lucho's not. I think it's tight for both of them.
Yeah.
Baird's head, it's a tough because it's like the way the camera angle goes. But Baird's head looks like it's probably furthest between the defender and him and Lucho.
I think he was probably okay either way, because I think that if Baird was offside, I think they would have pulled this goal back to say that Baird was involved in the play, even though he doesn't touch the ball. So I think that they were probably both on. I think it's a closer call with Baird, but I don't see us being lucky to get the, if Baird was off, to not get the, well, Baird was directly involved in this play, and therefore we're going to pull this entire thing back.
That is interesting. I will say,
I think that.
Yeah,
I do. Let's do this again.
I just want to very quickly say, this is a point against the Bupenza would have made this worse argument, just because Baird and Lucho are making what is essentially the same run on top of each other, which is what Bupenza does with Acosta.
Yeah, the difference
I don't
is
think Bupenza lays off the ball.
Yeah, Bupenza jumps up to try and get this and fucks the entire play up.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Or he drifts into Lucho trying to win the ball as opposed to running parallel, and the two of them just get tangled with one another.
But this is where Baird's like total snake-bitten fear of like making any attempt at goal works in our favor.
Where he's clearly the comedy sidekick in this relationship.
Yeah,
and you don't get involved with the hero as the comedy sidekick.
Yeah, he's the decoy striker that we run out there. That
Yedlin's pass though.
Oh,
so good, so good.
I mean, that's why you bring him in. This is the play we've been. I mean, I'd say waiting for it. He had an amazing back heel flick against Charlotte, I want to say.
I'll be honest, I'm not sure I knew Yedlin had that pass in him.
That's pretty damn good.
I mean, someone's probably going to pull up him making that exact same pass for like Miami or the U.S. men's national team, but like I think highly of Yedlin as a player. I don't think I've ever personally seen him make a pass like this. And he made a couple of like really nice passes this game.
I mean, you people forget he played like 100 games in the Premier League. Like
yeah,
the guy is really, really good.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, well done. And yeah, if you still had actually the offense still sucks take still hanging out there, Yedlin and Acosta made sure you felt stupid. And I am not kidding. As I'm looking at this, I think that's the 7th goal was just scored in LA, San Jose. Sorry. There's a lot happening on my screen right now. That was an incredible performance. And that goal cemented a solid performance. It was not the end of the night, though. That would have been really cool for that to have been like the 87th minute. No, instead, the night continues on. Bupenza comes in, has a couple of good moments, but The only moment that really stuck out to me is in all of the added time. Everything after the 90th minute was wild. It really truly felt like, but just like my full blown like conspiracy brain was going right there, that the call came from New York, that Atlanta's supposed to win this one. They're not supposed to lose the home streak because, you know, they love selling that many tickets, and that Atlanta, it was impossible for them to commit a foul in the last 7 minutes of this game. There was
Absurd.
nothing they could do that could earn a whistle. And nothing more egregious, I think, than Bupenza being bodied in the box, not even close to the ball. The ball is then won by Atlanta because, of course, Bupenza is lying down. Acosta wins the ball back and then is given a yellow card for winning the ball back. It's just one of the most insane sequences I've seen in quite a while. And, yeah.
How does that not even get a VAR check?
Not even a VAR check.
Like, not even a pause for, we're going to double check and see what happened here. He got shoulder checked onto the ground. Like, I don't even know anymore.
It's the same foul, essentially, that Acosta is given the yellow for, like, moments later. Like, it's so weird that is a foul 100 times out of 100. And then the second it's Bupenza against Atlanta in the 95th minute, nothing to see here. That's fine. Just boys being boys.
It was exacerbated, too, by the fact that, like you said, there were probably a half dozen uncalled fouls in stoppage time that weren't just ticky-tacky fouls, that were egregious physical contact fouls. And it was just, nope, play on.
We've seen refs swallow the whistle, and actually late in the game, and this wasn't the only game last night that this happened in. I don't like it, though. Like,
yeah,
I know people are like, you know, late in the game, let the players play or let the players decide it or whatever. But like, if you're calling things differently because a team is trying aggressively to catch up, then you were calling all game. That's not letting the players decide it. It's giving one team like an advantage.
Yeah.
Can I give an idea for what maybe we should do about this, or what FC Cincinnati should do about this?
Sure.
I think they should issue a statement.
Yeah.
I think it should be something like this. Multiple extremely poor decisions, at least one penalty in stoppage time not given, which we simply cannot accept. We warned the PSRA that the VAR is a Columbus Crew fan before the game, but they didn't change him. Our patience has been tested multiple times. FCC will now consider its options.
Do you know who the VAR was this game?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it was the same VAR as the playoff game last year in New York.
No.
Oh no.
I'm pretty sure.
Oh no.
Because I think I looked at the officiating assignments last week and then saw like what their history was, and I like almost had a tweet like ready to
Nottingham Forest.
And I just decided not to post it like before the game. I'm gonna verify this, but I'm like 95% sure I'm right on this.
I mean, honestly, it makes me feel better. Like I'd rather there just be like a small cohort that has an axe to grind against us instead of the entire apparatus, right? Like if the entire thing is rigged, that's a problem.
Do you think the FC will be awarded any penalties this year? Because this was now match 9, I believe.
Yeah.
We are now fully over a quarter of the way through the season. Have not earned a single kick from the spot.
I think it'll be funny. I think we get one, and it's one that we absolutely 100% should not have been given. And everybody will agree and say it's one of the most egregious penalties ever given. We'll be given it in a game that it doesn't matter. We'll have already been up 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And then that way people can say, oh, how can you say the refs were biased against you? Don't you remember that penalty against whoever, NYCFC?
Right.
Be like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah, it's the same. Actually, I'm let's see. Was I right?
Grayson
No,
was
I was right.
under-
Yeah, I'm right. I'm right.
Oh.
I'm right.
Damn it.
Yeah.
We
She
always
was
caught
the-
him wrong.
I know.
She was the VAR in the first round, second leg of the 2023 MLS Cup playoffs, a game that FC Cincinnati beat New York Red Bulls in 9-8 in penalties, which had no interesting
Shenanigans.
VAR interventions at all.
So is the VAR official on staff, or is that the VAR official? Are they in New York? Or are they like
they're
at the-
I think they're
The office
I think
used to be.
I think they sit.
So would this VAR official have been in the locker room when
I
Miazga
don't
stormed in?
think so.
No.
Oh, okay.
I think last year they were based in Atlanta, and I think this year they're in Austin. And I don't know if that's a
Yeah, Arlington, Texas.
okay. Yeah, I knew they were in Texas. It's weird that they rotate. I don't know if the intention is to keep rotating them, or they just got cheaper office space in Arlington. I don't know what the
Very
situation
clearly
was.
the cheaper office space.
So this person probably almost certainly was never subjected to like watching Matt Miazga eat.
That's a war crime, you know.
What he was eating, we will never know. But
It was a cheeseburger pizza.
man, it truly was just a cheeseburger pizza. It just threw everybody off.
With lots and lots of ketchup. Buddy, that was marinara sauce.
Ketchup. I know my red sauces. That was ketchup.
How dare you?
The red
In New
one's
Jersey, of all
ketchup.
places.
It was like an artisanal house-made ketchup.
Tomato reduction.
The red one's ketchup. The white one's mayo. The brown one is tangy barbecue sauce. All right. These are the three sauces. I know of no other sauces. And that's your game. I don't know. Well done. I do think it's worth pointing out Pat Noonan still has never lost 3 games in a row. And yes, I am being the annoying person that doesn't count cup penalty knockouts. So well done to Pat Noonan. At least I'll say in the league, he's never had that. There was a pretty rough stretch of Open Cup, Leagues Cup, and Columbus Crew.
We lost in penalties in Leagues Cup, lost to Columbus in the league, and lost in penalties in Open Cup last year.
Only one loss, though. So doesn't that make you feel better about that run?
Yeah, it does, for sure. Actually, I felt, looking back on it, it was great times. One of the best times in my life.
Highlight of the season. Yeah. I feel like we touched on a lot of the meta narratives. Let me just say this. Overall, how do we think Pat Noonan did? I feel like we haven't graded Pat in a while.
I think it took balls to put Bupenza on the bench.
Yeah.
And so as of right now, I think that was fantastic managing last night. We'll see going forward whether or not, I don't know. What he has done is he won the game, but he has opened a very, very uncomfortable question up, and it's going to be very interesting to see how it's resolved.
I think that he's done well moving Kubo up to striker.
Yeah.
Although, I do think that's probably a very tough decision, and it's one that he would rather not be making.
Yeah.
I think it's a strong decision to sit Bupenza. I liked the move that they tried, which was having Miles play left center back, and then, Nick getting hurt in the first half. That's out of your hands. And then once you're bringing Murphy in the game, you gotta play Murphy on the left.
Yeah.
And then it did. I think I saw somebody complain that they didn't make a defensive sub until late. I don't know if this was the TV broadcast, but Tommy G mentioned around the 70th minute that Kip Keller was ready to come in and was talking, with the coaches about his assignment and stuff. And then he put his training top back on and sat down. So I don't know what happened there.
The other thing, we talked about though earlier, is that if they want to make a defensive change with Kubo playing striker, the change can be Kubo drifting further back in the formation and playing defense. He he's an on-field substitution just by changing what it is that he's being asked to do. So I think that flexibility negates the need to make wholesale changes. And also just, yeah, do you want to make changes earlier? Sure, but who are you bringing on?
I like that. I know. So like Pat Brennan had put in his predicted lineup, Kubo starting in the midfield over Buka. And I don't know that this was even discussed. Okay. But I think we've seen mostly improvement week in, week out from Pavel. And I think that, you know, some of the new guys, got to keep giving them minutes, right? Give them a chance to, because your ceiling is highest.
Yes.
Getting those guys ready in the league.
Yeah. Buka in particular, I think, had a fantastic game. Just to rattle off some stats, 91% accurate passes, 1-for-1 successful dribbles, 4-for-4 accurate long balls, 1-for-1 tackles won, although that's not really his role. It's more Obi's role to win the ball, and then for Buka to distribute. And yeah, like just overall really good, 59 touches overall on the night. Like that was a solid performance from him, and it was good to see. I do like the idea though of criticizing defensive subs. Like outside of subbing Orishano for like Halsey, Powell, like who's more defensive than Miles Robinson and Matt Miazga? And do you really think that Alvis Powell's a better defender than DeAndre Yedlin? Like,
I mean, it's fresh legs, right?
I guess fresh legs, sure.
But you don't usually make a ton of defensive subs, even if you're winning.
Yeah.
Like your center backs, they're kind of supposed to go 90 or very close to it.
Yeah. I guess you pull, I mean, like we said, like, do you pull Kubo for Kip Keller and just add more people to the back line? That feels like a disaster. So yeah, I don't know what that would have looked like for real. And to even suggest subbing Lucho Acosta is just heresy. So well, there you go. I think that's going to do it for the match recap. We'll head on over to part 2, where, speaking of strikers, we may have a new striker to talk about over the next couple of days showing up. So let's talk about that, shall we? And before we head on over to part 2, I want to tell you about our sponsor, Cincy Shirts. These guys, let me tell you about these guys. Do you know about these guys? Let me tell you about these guys. Cincy Shirts has been around from the beginning. If you ask me, and nobody did, Cincy Shirts was instrumental in FC Cincinnati becoming very, very popular and eventually leading to their MLS bid, which is why I am so excited that the Post and the Postcast are able to partner with them. Look, here's the deal. If you use the promo code ThePostCincy, all one word, all caps, when purchasing something from them, you get 10% off, and we get a little bit of money back our way, huh? It also lets them know that you heard about them through our show. And even if that's not true, it makes me feel good, and it makes them feel good. So use that code. Look, they just released some new Hawaiian-style shirts. I don't know if they're actually Hawaiian style, but some new floral prints for FCC, some button-ups. Get on this. The supplies do not last. However, they do have 3 in-store locations, including a new one over in Loveland, where they can print most of the designs for you on a shirt. The button-ups, I don't think they can do on demand, but they can print those designs on demand in a shirt on any size that you'd like. I've definitely used that service. It is awesome. So again, the promo code, ThePostCincy, all one word, all caps, knock a couple bucks off of your next order. It works on non-FCC gear too, all right? Get yourself an LA de la Cruz shirt or something like that. You're gonna look good in it. You're gonna have a good time. And you're gonna save a couple of bucks doing this. So Cincy Shirts, again, cincyshirts.com, link in the description, the code, ThePostCincy, all one word, all caps. A huge thank you to Cincy Shirts for sponsoring this and many other episodes of the Postcast. All right, we are back, part 2, and it's been a while. It's been a while since we've been able to do this one. We have a rumored player heading to FC Cincinnati, and I'll be honest with you, it's not one I had ever thought we were going to talk about ever again. Just a couple of episodes ago, I declared this dead. I declared him dead, but no worries. I consulted some ancient tomes. This has been resurrected from the dead. Kevin Kelsy, a 19-year-old striker currently playing at Shakhtar Donetsk from the country of Venezuela. By all indications, sounds like he is headed to FC Cincinnati, presumably taking that U22 position on the roster for this team. Grayson, how do we feel about this one?
I like that they brought in, or apparently.
Yes.
I like that they're bringing in a striker. I like that he's got a profile they don't currently have in the team. I like that he's scored on FC Porto and Champions League. I like that he's 19. I both like and dislike that he's 19. But I mean, this is somebody who fits that U22 spot because they're not like already some type of, world-class phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get them on the salary you need to bring them in on. But it's somebody who addresses a need on the team with a roster spot that they have available. And I would have been disappointed if they went out of their way to open up that U22 spot by loaning out Marco Angulo.
Yeah.
And not filled it this window since, there's going to be 3 available to them in the summer. So like you didn't need to open it now.
Right.
If you weren't going to use it.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do we make of the fact though? I don't think he's played a minute of soccer this year. I'm looking at I was looking and I'm looking now again. So the last action that I see him having was on the 8th of December, where he got 29 minutes off the bench. And he, as best I can tell, hasn't played a game since then. Now, I believe in the league that they play in, it's Ukraine, I believe, the league they play in.
Yep.
They take a winter break that seems like it's pretty extended. So they just came back to playing, I think, at the end of February. But he hasn't played since they came back. I don't know.
He played 12-13 in Champions League against FC Porto, which is not the game that he scored in.
Yeah, that's the last one I have is December 13th. But yeah, it's the same idea.
Here's what I make of it. The second a team in a bigger league starts talking to you, the normal thing to do is just stop playing for your current team.
I've heard that somewhere before.
Yeah. So like the second Chris Albright knocks on his door, he's essentially an FC Cincinnati player.
Right.
So it's a little silly for Shakhtar to expect him to play for them.
I'm excited about the signing. I'm excited that they're making an addition this window just because when it comes to a U22, the best time to bring the player in is 6 months ago. The next best time to bring the player in is right now.
Yeah.
Like now is always the best time to bring a young player in. It's going to maximize the opportunity he has to familiarize himself with the country, with the team, to get integrated, do all that sort of stuff. He's a 19-year-old kid being asked to relocate from Eastern Europe all the way over here to the United States, do something different, new teammates, new life, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, as much time as possible for that. want to pump the brakes for people, that they'll be excited that it's a new signing. It's a new signing at a position that we all think this team has a need at. I would be very, very shocked if Kevin Kelsy contributes meaningfully anytime soon. U22 players are by and large projects, and it's not like this guy was over there banging goals in and getting tons of minutes. He's not playing much with his team over there now. This is you are buying the skill set. You are not buying the finished player right now. So I'm excited whenever we bring somebody new in. This is not a solution to their goal scoring problems. This is not a starting striker they are bringing in right now, unless I am just wildly off base and Albright and Noonan rate this guy at a level higher than his own team is rating him.
I mean, the good news here is that he is like 6'1", 6'2". Like he's a bigger guy for what we're looking for here. He's someone that is in the Venezuelan national team setup. He's somebody who is expected to be a future contributor to the Venezuelan national team, which granted historically isn't the biggest and best thing in the world, but it's a national team that has made some pretty good leaps and bounds over the last couple of years. I think we're all very happy with Junior Moreno, a full-time Venezuelan international on our team. So I think the pedigree is there. Shakhtar Donetsk, we've talked about this before. They do a solid job of importing talent, especially from South America. They're a pretty classic pit stop on the way to the Bundesliga or Italy, something like that, or onto Russia in the good old days when that was socially acceptable. And yeah, like this is a guy that it could be a really exciting addition and something that could well and truly transform the striker locker room, because all of our entities right now are well known. We have Sergio Santos, who is hurt all of the time and lacks production. We have Yuya Kubo, which is a welcome re-addition to the striker room, but is not somebody that was anybody's first, second, or third choice going into the season. Aaron Bupenza has been hit or miss throughout the season, and Corey Baird just can't seem to get out of his own way to score. It would be fun to add just a new dash of spice. And granted, you know, it could be difficult to make that transition. However, he's already made the transition to Ukraine in the middle of an active war. And so not that he's necessarily thriving on the field, but I feel like the culture shock should be a hint less in the United States. And he well and truly has an opportunity to win a starting job on day one on this team, which is not something that a lot of these guys have the opportunity to do right away.
I don't see any way, anyhow, he's in any competition for a starting spot on this team.
I agree, but like, if he's going to eventually be in competition for a starting spot, it's better to get him now.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. Than get him in the summer, because you're improving your chances of him, you know, integrating enough to be useful by the playoffs.
Kevin, do you think he's going to come in and immediately challenge for playing time? Starting playing time?
I think he could. I mean, think about it. If Santos was healthy, there's a decent chance Sergio Santos had started last night. Like that's where this striker room is right now. And we know Sergio Santos, he's not particularly good at this. If Kevin Kelsy can be as good as Sergio Santos or better, yeah, he's got a great opportunity to start. Why not?
I think Kevin's right in the sense that anything could happen.
Yes.
But I like the profile of the signing. I like that they made a signing. He's, you know, scored goals on big stages. Not consistently yet, although he did have like a goal every I just looked it up. He had a goal every 98 minutes in the league last year.
Yeah.
He's getting less time this year. I have no idea. No idea why that is.
He's too good.
He's too good. So, you know.
He said some positive things about Vladimir, maybe.
maybe. So he still is like he's 19.
Yeah.
Right. And he was viewed as a big enough talent for Shakhtar to bring him over and give him minutes at, 17 and 18.
Yeah.
He still was getting called in, like he still was playing fairly recently for Venezuela's U23 in pre-Olympic tournament play. I don't know if they ended up qualifying for the Olympics. But it's not like he hasn't been playing anywhere for anybody. Now, like South American pre-Olympic tournament soccer is maybe not the most impressive competition, but
what do we make of the fact that this is being rumored as a loan?
I don't make much of it. Like, plenty of MLS teams have brought in U22 initiative players on loans. We brought Gustavo Vallecilla in.
And that worked out great for us.
It did work out great for us because we made money on him.
Yeah, it was a profitable venture.
And it worked out great for him because he won MLS Cup last year. But, other players have been brought in. If you view these players as rolls of the dice,
which you should,
then I think it makes perfect sense to bring some of them in on loan before investing a lot of dollars in them. And we know, because it's been done multiple times, that if they exercise the purchase option on him, he still is allowed to stay a U22 as long as his salary stays under that maximum threshold.
Yeah.
So, like, this is a guy we're bringing in on loan at 19 who potentially, although, like, not realistically, you could have on a U22 roster spot until he's 25. Like, realistically, he's going to get moved on or sign a new contract at some point in the next 6 years. But I would be more suspect of, like, bringing a DP in on a loan, because that's a player that you should be pretty damn confident they're going to be contributing to you right away. Than like a U22.
Spend zone, you bring him in on a loan because you know he's going to make an impact right away. Like, if he's a project, why would you loan him? Because by the time you've completed the project, he's playing for Shakhtar Donetsk or Eintracht Frankfurt by the next time he's the completed project. I did look up.
That depends what the purchase option is.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
A player like Mascara, where there was no purchase option, you bring him in because you expect him to start and contribute immediately.
Right.
And that's the only way you can bring a player of that quality in. If there's a purchase option on Kelsy, whether I think they think he's going to contribute right away, or they view as more of a project, that would be informed by what the number is on the purchase option.
Yeah. I think that's very fair. I did look up how Olympic qualifying went for the Venezuelans, and I will say they did not qualify for the Olympics. However, this tells an interesting story. He did score 2 goals in Olympic qualifying. I'll note that the 2 of the 3 highest goal scorers who scored 5 goals each. One was a little fella named Thiago Almada. We might have heard of him. The other one was Diego Gomez, which, if you don't recognize the name immediately, that's fine. He plays for Inter Miami. So that's the other one. However, So the way they did it is they split them up into two groups, Group A and Group B. And Group A, to start it off, was Brazil, Venezuela, Ecuador, Bolivia, and Colombia. And Brazil and Venezuela qualified as the only two groups out of Group A in that one, in which Kelsy did score against Ecuador in the Group A. And then they go to the final stage, which was Argentina and Paraguay were the other two from the other group that qualified. Both Brazil and Venezuela finish bottom of the group, so then not qualifying for the 2024 Olympics. However, against Argentina, Venezuela ties Argentina 2-2 in the 90 plus 10 minutes. So in the 100th minute of this game, Venezuela was awarded a penalty. And who did they ask to step up and take it? Kevin Kelsy. And he buries it.
He missed it. Oh, he buries it.
He buries it. That's his other goal in the tournament. It keeps it 2-2. It was a crucial draw against Venezuela or against Argentina for Venezuela. Unfortunately, that's all that happens there. Almada did score in that game as well in the 61st minute. So I like that game on the line, 100th minute of the game, the penalties awarded. Kelsy steps up to take it. I like that. I don't know if he was the one fouled and that's why he got to take it, but I like to think that they trusted him in that moment. So good on him. Also, there's a guy in Brazil named John Kennedy. So I thought that was fun. D'Souza
to the left.
Hang on. D'Souza, is he related? I got nothing.
When do you think that we'll announce this? Will this be announced tomorrow or Monday as people are listening to this? Will this be official? I mean, it has to be at some point between now and Tuesday, right?
So the window closes Tuesday, but that doesn't mean they have to announce on Tuesday, right? They just have to have it done. So maybe we see an announcement Wednesday, Thursday. But it's got to be, if it's happening, it's got to be Bogert, Brennan, Failer official at some point, like by Monday, right?
It has to. And it's kind of what I want to go to is like, we think this is happening, right? Like the right sources online are saying this.
The guy who reported it, Kevin, I don't have his name in front of me.
And I got rid of it. So hold, please.
But he's a Univision journalist who's a Venezuelan national who was followed by Major League Soccer on Twitter. He's followed by multiple MLS journalists on Twitter, including Tom Bogert.
Daniel Nora is how I'm choosing to pronounce this. Nohra.
And he's LinkedIn friends with our assistant coach, Ricardo Paez.
Yeah.
It's not the profile of somebody who's just, making shit up.
He's got 6,000 followers, which isn't a huge number, but like MLS follows him, and
you've also got people like Matt Doyle now, saying, "Well, if Kevin Kelsy arrives," it's like these people all know.
Yeah, it's happening.
It is funny though that like to that end, like Doyle just posted a column that he again references Kevin Kelsy in. They're all treating this much more closely that Kevin is than to where Grayson and I are at on it, where they're talking about Kevin Kelsy as being an immediate contributor on this team. I'll believe it when I see it.
I think people gas up players that they get breaking stories on.
Well, Clayton's one of the best products I've ever seen, so I don't know what you're talking about.
I take all projections from people who are simultaneously like breaking the news on the connection with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
And we'll see.
Kyle Scott also going to play for Barcelona, one or the other.
I don't think that Tom Bogert is showing up at Shakhtar trainings. And I don't know how else he is seeing this guy play.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like you could catch it outside of.
He does have some nice highlights on YouTube, but what you got to understand is those are like literally all the goals he scored in his entire life.
Man, I had a point and I've completely lost it. So I guess we'll just have to leave it there. The window closing is a FIFA window like that. So I think the international transfers do need to be registered with FIFA when that moves. So yeah, if this is happening, it needs to be happening soon. That's what I was going to say. I knew if I just started talking, a thought would eventually form in my brain. To be clear, I think he could be an immediate contributor. I don't want that to be the expectation, though. He's 19 years old. He has not played in 2024 in a competitive match. I think it is very good and prudent to pump the brakes on this. All I am saying is, if he looks good enough in training, I haven't seen enough from the starting strikers to warrant him not playing. Sort of the opposite of Marco Angulo last year, where in the midfield did you expect him to play over Moreno, Obi, and Acosta? Didn't make sense. Totally, there's not a spot there.
Yeah, but Kevin, I think you meant I think you thought he might be like 6'1", 6'2".
Yeah.
He's 6'4".
Oh my God, it's a big boy.
So like,
I don't know, not that impressive.
If nothing else, as a late sub to like give you a target in the box for some of those DeAndre Yedlin or Luca Oriano crosses.
Yeah.
You would expect at least a little bit of like goal threatening actions that we don't currently have in the team. But
I mean,
we'll see.
Franco Kovacevic played in games for FC Cincinnati. All right.
It's a very different FC Cincinnati squad.
You telling me Kevin Kelsy can't get 5 minutes here or there? Come on now.
I'm excited to see him debut. I'll be very excited to see him debut. That's where I'll leave it.
Yeah. Yeah. To Chief's point, I am super curious what this deal looks like. If there's the possibility he goes back this summer, if he just doesn't look good over the next 3 months, who knows?
Do you think there was any chance that the holdup on this deal was the foreign aid package to Ukraine needing to be passed by the U.S. Congress?
I honestly, this is where I think happened. I think, they wanted Kelsy, but they wanted him at a lower price point. We talked so much shit about Chris Albright in the last episode that Albright felt bullied into increasing the cash considerations to get Kelsy over the line this window. So I think we did this.
He said that we were willing to pay more money, but that he'd have to talk to the big guy first.
Got the late night phone call. So, but what could you do for me, though?
Right. I'll just make the check out to Burisma.
Stay woke. Burisma's our new sleeve sponsor.
All this and more can be found out when we retrieve the contents of Chris Albright's laptop.
God, I hope it doesn't break.
The geek squads are on high alert.
I will. If we ever get a sniff that he's got a broken laptop, I'll be driving to every U break I fix around town.
It's gold.
Oh man. Well, with that, I think we've
did a full size wee man show up and hand you a laptop.
No, just Brooks Lennon.
Just Brooks Lennon showed up. Oh God! All right, we're gonna have to leave it there. Part 3. Let's answer a couple of Patreon questions, and then let's get out of there. All right, we are back, and we are answering the very fine, very attractive folks over at Patreon who decide to irresponsibly give us money every month. You can join them. I never thought I'd be saying this, but we're close to a milestone. We just need like 2 or 3 more people to push us over. I'm not even going to say what the number is because it's kind of embarrassing to admit it out loud how many dollars it is. But if you want to help push us...
Nobody says what the milestones are. They just say a milestone.
Okay, good. Well, we're close to a stretch goal of mine that gets absolutely nobody anything, nothing in addition. However, it would make me feel good to see the first number change on that. But no,
every subscriber is one step closer to us maybe doing another live show. Just think about that.
Damn.
Wait.
Is it official?
Somebody on Facebook said Kevin Kelsy is in Cincinnati. I was having drinks at the Lytle One Hotel, which is actually a nice place, a really nice place to have drinks.
Well,
they
now
got one of those little smokers.
Yeah, now I know he's lying because Kevin Kelsy doesn't have an ID to get in there. He's 19.
It said, and he said I was having drinks at the Lytle One Hotel and saw him and his father being greeted by a Spanish-speaking FCC staffer.
Wow.
You don't provide interpreters, so I know that's false.
This person is pretty good if they know what Kevin Kelsy looks like.
They're posting in the Facebook page. This is a sicko.
This is or it's just like somebody in an FCC like polo is just meeting somebody who speaks Spanish and they're thinking, oh, that's Kevin Kelsy.
I'm going to here. Keep going with the Patreon questions. I'm going to see if this person put a picture in because
all you gotta do is in that situation, if you think it's just like, "Hey, Kevin," and just see if he turns around and looks.
Right. Hola, Kevin. you gotta put a little spin on it. No, I think this is a good one, and I wanted this one to have some time to breathe. So we're on this one. Sean Bemmer asks. Probably the wrong time to ask this, considering the whole Amaya thing, which is why I waited, Sean. But what are your thoughts on shithousery chants about the opposing team / players, etc.? I'd love to hear some "your teeth are offsides" chants from the Bailey directed at Suarez, or honestly, just more original shithousery chants in general from the Bailey would be great, in my opinion. Chief, thoughts on personally directed banter from the supporters?
I'm always in favor of making fun of other people. I'm in favor of punching down. I'm in favor of low-hanging fruit. Well, just because the fruit is on the bottom branch doesn't mean it isn't also delicious, all right? There's this pervasive myth in our society that climbing up the tree makes for better fruit. I deny that wholeheartedly. As far as getting it going in the Bailey, I think what most Bailey veterans, and dare I say Bailey legends, will tell you is that it is difficult to get everybody singing the same thing with stuff people know. And so attempting to get something started that hasn't been thought up, practiced, that everybody doesn't know the words to, it's a little bit of an uphill battle. And you know, I at the risk of stepping on this particular landmine, you know, all the banter chants for the most part are just, when you talk about overseas banter chants, like "your teeth are off sides," that's just it's the Sloop John B chant. Yeah. It's chant A over, or song A for every Premier League club, and you're just changing the words that you're putting to that tune. There aren't a lot of really, really great banter chants that are over there. And also, in this league, players are in and out so often. I don't know that there's a lot of, like, who have we played so far other than Frankie Amaya, whose official song is "Fuck You, Frankie"? Who else is worthy of a banter song where we are singing about them or yelling something at them?
It's a good one.
John Tolkien?
Yeah, like John Tolkien, but if you're doing New York Red Bulls, you got Amaya, right? Like,
right, you got Frankie. You have a good Frankie right there.
That's a good point. I mean, one idea would be to just like pick on whoever their DP is, but yeah.
You know, when I was in school, I went to a couple of institutions of higher learning where there weren't a lot of people that would go to the athletic events. So when I was at the University of Toledo for my postgraduate studies, we would go to the football games there, and I would make a point of actually going and sitting behind the visiting bench, and I would just figure out who the reserve long snapper was, and I would spend the entire game heckling the reserve long snapper. Like, the quarterback throws an interception for his team, I'd start screaming down at the reserve long snapper, whatever his last name is, Smith, or like, "It's all your fault. This is all your fault. That turnover was your fault. You're a bum. Your parents are disappointed in you." Like, I had guys wanting to fight me in the crowd. It was.
I remember the good old days at USL in Nipper. especially early on when the crowd was a little smaller. It was a pretty classic move because especially USL, nobody knows who anybody is. You look up the opposing keeper on Facebook and just start making fun of them about anything you could find on Facebook.
Yeah.
And you just needed 10 people to chant the guy's mom's name at him or his girlfriend's name or something and really get in their heads. I liked that. That was the intimate moments between aggressive, hostile, drunk fans and, guys just trying to live out their soccer dreams. So that's good.
If you have a good idea for like something we should sing at an opposing player, sure. But also isn't that winning? If they are so inside your fan base's head that they get them to make a song up about you.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Like, wouldn't you be flattered if they were trying to get in Lucho's head singing a song about him in Columbus?
Yeah, but then I also don't want to stop singing about Frankie, so I don't want to think about
That's
it.
True. Fair enough. Yeah, just throwing it out there.
I am reminded though that England has, in my opinion, one of the worst fan cultures generally. There is something to be said for like the chants are easy to be picked up by the whole stadium. That's the one plus you can give to any of it. But just recently, and I'm kind of totally misremember the match. I think it was West Ham against some German team in one of the 15 dozen European competitions where the German fans are all jumping up and down in unison. It's awesome looking. And the English fans all start singing, what the fuck is that shit over and over. It's like, yeah, that one's Atmosphere. And you guys are still doing your goofy ass nursery rhymes from the 60s. Like, I don't know, evolve a little bit. That'd be nice. Grayson, any thoughts on singing at the opposing team?
I wasn't really listening, to be honest.
Good.
So there's some folks on Twitter. Some seem to have a lot of followers.
Okay.
They're saying the numbers on Kevin Kelsy are an $800,000 loan fee,
okay,
and a $7 million purchase option.
Whoa!
Wow.
In December. So the loan they're having is through the end of the season.
So
we don't need to like keep going on that, but I did want to.
Oh, well then, Grayson,
since,
let me ask you this Patreon question from Said. How much do they really have to spend on a striker? Now you got to answer these questions.
I guess at least $800,000 right now.
Yeah.
Plus up to $683,000 in salary.
Right.
Because that's how you fit in a U22 spot. And I don't know. I feel like they have some GAM, and they maybe could get some more GAM in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
I would expect they would have some resources to. Well, they're going to get 2 more U22 spots. I don't expect them to use Frankly, I don't expect them to use all 3 U22 spots this year. I'm not sure they have the senior roster spots open for that.
Yeah.
But even if they did use all 3, I don't think it would be all 3 on strikers.
Yeah.
I bet they have enough GAM and salary to trade for a depth striker in the league.
They could also buy out Santos at any point now, right, too.
You could buy out Santos anytime until I think the opening of the second window, and open up like $800,000 in salary.
Whew.
So,
yeah. So for the $7 million price tag feels like a lot, but remember, so long as his salary is indeed under that max budget charge, that would still all qualify as the U22 spot.
Would this
Miami spent more than that for Redondo?
Yeah,
who is supposedly U22 eligible. All caveats about Miami and their roster compliance, But if those here.
If the purchase option goes to $8 million, I think this becomes the second most expensive signing in FC history, right?
Yeah, it does.
After Brenner,
yeah,
after Brenner, because Bupenza was what, like $7 million.
Yeah.
So if this goes anything over $7 million, then all of a sudden this is Albright's biggest signing.
They've blown all the Brandon Vasquez money.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, you'll get that sweet Brenner money, Brariel money eventually.
Okay.
I mean, assuming he plays.
When they sell Barreal for $3 million, they can flip that on Luka's buy option.
Yeah, man. Next year is going to be really fun. Like next December is going to be really fun for Chris Albright. There's a lot of wheeling and dealing is going to need to be done there. Maybe he's banking on even more rules changes because it did feel like this is what they felt like they could get away with this summer. That more may be coming even in the wintertime. I'll wrap us up with this one. This one feels like it's directed to Chief, but it is from Da Drizzle. And they ask, at what point do we hire a sage for Baird to get rid of his bad luck?
I mean, they might need to hire a priest. Just, exorcise some demons here. I don't know. I'm into anything. I am into him seeing a shrink. I'm into him seeing a man of the cloth. I'm into, sewing a couple Lucky Charms into the jersey. Whatever it is that he needs to get his, the aura around him fixed. Because it didn't look great last night in terms of his. Let's just put it this way: if he's rolling a lot of natural ones on the luck checks,
yeah,
maybe he just needs Ricky Vaughn glasses.
He can't see.
We get the sport tech goggles on him, and all of a sudden he's a changed man.
Dude,
maybe they should.
If Baird were to start running out with rec specs, this is like our generation's Chris Sabo.
Yes.
Hell yeah. I was wondering if he needed to put some eclipse glasses on because Brad Guzan is so blindingly white that it's very difficult to focus on net when he's there.
Might explain why some of the that header in particular just glanced ever so slightly off to the side.
Or like they were shooting balls over the net. Because every time you try to make eye contact with Guzan, it's like, ball goes flying off.
Your body naturally leans back. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe Baird went to like a local elder abuse training and just didn't want to take it too hard on Guzan.
How many goals is too many goals against old Guzan? That's a good point.
Who would go to an elder abuse training?
I hear they're hot right now.
Yeah, many people are noting.
Well, with that, we'll save the rest of these questions for another episode. However, there's always room for one more. Please subscribe, ask questions. Always a good time. And thank you to everybody who has subscribed. I mean, again, it's a huge endorsement for what we do. And I truly appreciate it. So thank you.
So even though I'm not a patron, can I ask a question to you, Kevin?
Yeah, I'll allow it.
If you had to name a city that you liked the least in all of North America, what would that city be?
I mean, top of mind, San Diego.
Yeah. Go fuck yourself, San Diego.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Cincy Postcast. It is a production of The Post Cincy. You can check us out at thepostcincy.com or just click a link in the description to check out some of our written work. It also has links to our social media accounts across all sorts of different platforms, including YouTube, where we are trying to do more and more video content. Please, dare I say it, like and subscribe and leave a comment. But no, that would be really, really helpful. I also want to give a thank you to Jim Trace and the Makers. They're a local Cincinnati band who provided all of the music for this episode. We love having them on board. You can check them out. Again, link in the description of this episode to find out where they might be playing shows next or where you can listen to more of their music. Also want to give a massive, massive thank you to the awesome and very attractive patrons over on Patreon. It is a voluntary subscription that people take out with no real promise of anything extra that keep this show afloat. And we are so thankful to those of you that have decided to take that commitment. If you do like the show, or at least just want to engage with other people who have listened to the show and want to talk about FC Cincinnati, MLS, soccer, or really anything else, you can go on over to Discord. Again, link in the description. Lots of links in the description where you can find a link to the Discord. That's where we are keeping the conversation going 24/7. It feels like it's a really fun group of people in there just talking about FC Cincinnati. And like I said, just about everything else. And finally, I'll say it. If you liked this episode, and given the fact that you've made it all the way to the end, I have to assume you either like it or for some reason cannot reach the stop button. Please share this episode with a friend or family member or someone who likes FC Cincinnati. The best way for us to grow is from a personal recommendation from somebody who likes it. And if that's you, please tell other people. And if you don't have any friends, feel free to give us a review on whatever your podcast platform of choice is. We'll take anything we can get. But again, a huge thank you to everybody for listening to this show. I am blown away that anybody listens to this. So again, I well and truly mean this. Thank you so much for listening.